What if I told you that the most powerful thing in the entire universe isn't what you think it is? Not black holes, not supernovas, not even the Big Bang itself. What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this video, you are surrounded? I know, you are immersed in something so incredibly powerful that it's literally creating space itself, pushing galaxies apart at speeds faster than light, and will ultimately determine the fate of everything that has ever existed or ever will exist. Here's what will blow your mind. This force is invisible. It makes up 68% of everything in existence. And until 1998, we didn't even know it was there. I'm talking about dark energy, but that's just the beginning of this story. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just what dark energy is, but why it represents something far more profound. The discovery that empty space itself might be the most powerful thing in the universe. And here's the kicker. This discovery is forcing us to completely rewrite our understanding of reality itself. But before we dive into this cosmic revelation, we need to start with something that will seem familiar, then gradually peel back the layers of reality until we reach a conclusion that will change how you see everything around you forever. Are you ready? Because what you're about to learn will make you question everything you thought you knew about power, about space, about existence itself. Let's begin. When I ask you, what's the most powerful thing in the universe? What comes to mind? Most people think of explosions, supernovas, black holes devouring stars, the Big Bang itself. And these are incredibly powerful. A single supernova releases more energy in seconds than our sun will produce in its entire 10 billion year lifetime. That's a number so large, it has 26 zeros after it. But here's what will blow your mind. All of these explosions, all of these cosmic catastrophes, all of this violence and destruction, are actually symptoms of something far more subtle and far more powerful. Think of it like this. When you see lightning during a thunderstorm, the lightning isn't the storm itself. It's just a visible sign of the massive electrical forces at work in the atmosphere, that the same thing is happening in our universe. This realization began in 1929, when astronomer Edwin Hubble made a discovery that shook the foundations of physics. Using the massive 100-inch telescope at Mount Wilson Observatory, Hubble noticed something impossible. Distant galaxies weren't just moving away from us, they were moving away faster the farther they were from us. Imagine you're standing in the center of a balloon, and as someone inflates it, every point on the balloon moves away from you. But here's the weird part. The points that are farther from you move away faster than the points that are closer. That's exactly what Hubble discovered about our universe. But here's where it gets interesting. For 70 years after Hubble's discovery, physicists assumed this expansion was slowing down. Think about it logically. If you throw a ball into the air, gravity pulls it back down, making it slower and slower as it rises. The universe should work the same way, right? All the matter in the universe should be gravitationally pulling everything back together, slowing down the expansion that began with the Big Bang. This assumption seemed so obvious that no one even bothered to test it properly until 1998. That's when two teams of scientists, led by Saul Perlmutter, Brian Schmidt, and Adam Rees, made a discovery that won them the Nobel Prize and changed everything we thought we knew about reality. They discovered that the expansion of the universe isn't slowing down, it's speeding up. Let me put this in perspective. Imagine you throw a ball into the air, and instead of falling back down, it suddenly starts accelerating upward, faster and faster, until it disappears into space. That's essentially what our universe is doing. And whatever is causing this acceleration is so powerful that it's overcoming the gravitational pull of every star, every galaxy, every black hole, every bit of matter in the entire universe. But here's the really mind-bending part. We have no idea what this force actually is. We just gave it a name, dark energy, and discovered it makes up 68% of everything in existence. So, the question becomes, what could be so powerful that it dominates the entire universe, yet remains completely invisible and undetectable, except for its effects on the largest scales of reality? The answer will take us on a journey through some of the strangest discoveries in physics. And it all starts with understanding what we really mean when we talk about empty space. What if I told you that what you think of as empty space is actually buzzing with more activity than the busiest city on Earth? Right now, as you sit there watching this video, the seemingly empty air around you is teeming with invisible particles popping in and out of existence billions of times per second. This isn't science fiction. This is quantum mechanics, and it was first predicted by Werner Heisenberg in 1927 through his famous uncertainty principle. Think of it like this. In the quantum world, you can never have absolutely nothing. It's like trying to balance a pencil. Perfectly on its tip, theoretically possible, but practically impossible because tiny fluctuations will always knock it over. Imagine the ocean. From an airplane, it might look perfectly smooth and calm, but get closer and you'll see waves. Get even closer and you'll see ripples. At the molecular level, water molecules are constantly vibrating and moving. Even in the calmest conditions, the ocean is never truly still. Empty space works the same way. What looks empty to us is actually filled with quantum fluctuations, pairs of particles and antiparticles, constantly popping into existence and annihilating each other in time frames so short they're practically instantaneous. In 1948, Dutch physicist Hendrik Casimir predicted that these quantum fluctuations should create a measurable force. If you place two metal plates extremely close together in a vacuum, the quantum fluctuations between the plates should be different from the fluctuations outside, creating a pressure that pushes the plates together. This seemed ridiculous. How? Could empty space push on solid objects? But in 1958, the Casimir effect was experimentally confirmed. Empty space really does exert physical forces on matter. This discovery opened up a terrifying possibility. If empty space has energy, and if Einstein's famous equation E equals mc is correct, then empty space has mass. And if it has mass, it should create gravity. Here's where things get really weird. When physicists calculated how much energy should be contained in empty space based on quantum mechanics, they got a number so large it defied belief. The energy density of empty space should be about 10,120 times larger than what we observe in the universe. To put this in perspective, if quantum mechanics is right, then every cubic centimeter of empty space, about the size of a sugar cube, should contain more energy than all the matter we can see in the observable universe. This is called the cosmological constant problem, and it's considered one of the biggest failures in the history of physics. Our best theories predict that empty space should have so much energy that the universe should have torn itself apart before atoms could even form. But obviously, that didn't happen. We're here. Atoms exist, and the universe is relatively stable. So what's going on? This question matters more than you might think, because the answer doesn't just explain the structure of the cosmos, it explains why you exist at all. You see, the energy of empty space determines the fate of everything. If it were much stronger, matter would never have clumped together to form stars and planets. If it were much weaker, the universe would have collapsed back on itself before life could evolve. The fact that you're here, watching this video, thinking these thoughts, is evidence that the energy of empty space is balanced at exactly the right level to allow complexity, structure, and consciousness to emerge. But here's the question that will keep you up at night. Is this balance an incredible coincidence? Is it evidence of some deeper design? Or is there something about the nature of reality itself that we're still missing? The Answer lies in understanding what happened when scientists finally figured out how to detect this mysterious dark energy directly. And what they found challenged everything we thought we knew about the universe. In 1998, two teams of scientists set out to measure something that everyone thought they already knew: how much the expansion of the universe was slowing down. What they discovered instead changed everything. The Supernova Cosmology Project, led by Saul Perlmutter at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, and the High Z Supernova Search Team, led by Brian Schmidt and Adam Rees, were using Type Ia supernovas as standard candles to measure cosmic distances. Think of it like this: if you know how bright a light bulb actually is, you can figure out how far away it is by how dim it appears to you. Type Ia supernovas are like cosmic light bulbs that always shine with exactly the same brightness. Both teams expected to find that distant supernovas were closer than they should be if the universe were expanding at a constant rate. This would prove that gravity was winning, slowing down the cosmic expansion. Instead, they found the exact opposite. Distant supernovas were farther away than they should be. The universe wasn't just expanding, it was expanding faster and faster over time. Imagine you're driving down a highway, and you look in your rearview mirror to see cars that should be catching up to you. But instead, they're falling further and further behind, as if some invisible force is pushing them away from you at an accelerating rate. That's what's happening to galaxies in our universe. Here's how they knew they were right. Type Ia supernovas occur when a white dwarf star accumulates matter from a companion star until it reaches exactly 1.4 times the mass of our Sun, a limit discovered by Subrahmanyan Chandrasekhar in 1930. At this precise mass, the star explodes with exactly the same energy every time. By measuring the apparent brightness and redshift of dozens of these supernovas at different distances, both teams independently reached the same impossible conclusion: something is pushing the universe apart with more force than gravity can overcome. Here's an analogy that will help you understand just how shocking this discovery was. Imagine you're watching a group of people walk away from you. Logic tells you they should be walking slower as they get tired. Instead, you notice that the people farthest from you are suddenly breaking into a run, and the people behind them start jogging faster, and even the people closest to you start picking up their pace. You'd immediately know that something invisible was pushing or pulling them away from you with increasing force. That's exactly what's happening in our universe. But here's what makes this discovery so profound: whatever is causing this acceleration, it has to be incredibly powerful, more powerful than gravity itself. Think about what gravity is. It's the force that holds you to the Earth, keeps the Earth orbiting the Sun, binds our solar system to the galaxy, and pulls galaxies together into clusters. Gravity shapes the structure of everything we can see in the universe. And yet, there's something out there that's overpowering gravity on the largest scales. Not just overpowering it, dominating it completely. When scientists calculated how much energy would be required to accelerate the expansion of the universe against the gravitational pull of all matter, they found that this mysterious dark energy makes up about 68% of the total energy in the universe. Let me repeat that. 68% of everything that exists is made of something we can't see, can't touch, can't detect directly, and don't understand. This means that you, me, the Earth, the Sun, all the stars you can see in the night sky, all the galaxies we've discovered, all of the matter that makes up everything we've ever known or experienced represents less than 5% of what actually exists. We are living in a universe that is almost entirely made of things we cannot perceive. It's as if you've been living your entire life in a house, thinking you know every room, every piece of furniture, every corner. Then someone hands you a special pair of glasses, and suddenly you realize that 95% of your house was invisible to you. There are entire floors above and below you, vast rooms you never knew existed, filled with forces and entities you never imagined. That's the universe we actually live in. But here's the question that will haunt you. If dark energy makes up 68% of everything, and it's powerful enough to accelerate the expansion of the entire universe, then what exactly is it? The answer is stranger than you can imagine, and it connects to something that might be happening right here, right now, in the space around your body. Here's what will blow your mind. The most powerful thing in the universe might be the space between your atoms. Right now, as you listen to this, your body is 99.99999% empty space. The distance between the nucleus of an atom and its electrons is proportionally like the distance between a marble in the center of a football stadium and gnats flying around in the bleachers. But what if I told you that this empty space is where the real action is happening? Remember the Casimir effect we talked about earlier? Those quantum fluctuations in empty space that create real, measurable forces? Well, it turns out that these fluctuations might be connected to the dark energy that's accelerating the universe. But there's a problem so severe that it's been called the worst prediction in the history of physics. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to predict how much a feather weighs. Your calculation says it should weigh as much as a blue whale. That's not close. That's catastrophically wrong. That's exactly what happened when physicists tried to calculate the energy of empty space. In the 1960s, physicists tried to calculate the vacuum energy density using quantum field theory. They considered all the possible quantum fluctuations that could exist in empty space, every possible particle that could pop into existence for the briefest instant. The calculation gave them a number, 120 times larger than what they observed. To understand how wrong this is, imagine trying to predict the width of North America and being off by a factor that would stretch across the entire observable universe 10,100 times over. This discrepancy is so large, it has its own name, the vacuum catastrophe. But here's what makes this catastrophe so fascinating. The fact that it's wrong might be the key to understanding the most powerful force in the universe. You see, if quantum mechanics predicts that empty space should have enormous energy, but we observe that it has almost zero energy, then something must be canceling out that enormous quantum energy almost perfectly. Almost, but not quite. What if the tiny bit that's left over, the part that doesn't get canceled, is what we call dark energy? Think about it. If you have two massive forces that almost perfectly cancel each other out, even the tiniest imbalance would create a noticeable effect. Imagine two people playing tug of war, each pulling with the force of 1,000 elephants. If one person is even slightly stronger, say, by the force of a single ant, that tiny difference will still determine who wins. The same thing might be happening with the vacuum energy of space. This idea is being seriously investigated by physicists like Leonard Susskind at Stanford and Juan Maldacena at the Institute for Advanced Study. They're exploring whether the quantum fluctuations of empty space, combined with some unknown cancellation mechanism, could explain dark energy. But this leads to an even more mind-bending possibility. If empty space really does have energy, and if that energy is what's driving the acceleration of the universe, then space itself might be the most powerful thing in existence. Not matter, not energy in the traditional sense, but the fabric of space-time itself. This means that as you sit there watching this video, you're not just surrounded by powerful forces, you are those forces. The space inside your atoms, the space between your cells, the space around your body, all of it might be contributing to the most powerful phenomenon in the universe. Every cubic centimeter of space around you might contain enough latent energy to power the entire planet for billions of years. It's just locked away in a form we don't know how to access. But here's the terrifying question. What if we could access it? What if we could tap into the energy of empty space itself? The answer to that question leads us to one of the most controversial ideas in modern physics, an idea that suggests our entire universe might be just one bubble in an infinite ocean of realities, each with different laws of physics, different constants, different fates. And that idea might explain not just where dark energy comes from, but why you exist at all. What if I told you that the most powerful thing in the universe isn't just in our universe, it might be creating infinite universes? And what if I told you that the only reason you exist, the only reason you can think these thoughts and ask these questions, is because you happen to live in one of the vanishingly rare universes where the most powerful force is balanced just right to allow life? Remember our vacuum catastrophe? The fact that quantum mechanics predicts empty space should have 10,120 times more energy than we observe? Well, some of the world's leading physicists think they know why our prediction is so wrong. And their answer involves the most mind-bending concept in modern cosmology, the multiverse. This idea was pioneered by physicists like Andre Linde at Stanford, Alan Guth at MIT, and Alexander Vilenkin at Tufts University. They developed a theory called eternal inflation, which suggests that our Big Bang wasn't a unique event. It was just one bubble forming in an eternally inflating multiverse. Here's the idea. What we call the Big Bang was actually the moment when a tiny region of space-time underwent rapid expansion, creating our observable universe. But this process, cosmic inflation, didn't happen just once. It's happening constantly, creating an infinite number of bubble universes, each with potentially different laws of physics. Think of it like champagne. When you open a bottle, bubbles form everywhere in the liquid. Each bubble expands rapidly, but the champagne keeps making new bubbles. Our universe is just one bubble in an infinite champagne of space-time. But here's where it gets really wild. In most of these bubble universes, the vacuum energy, the power of empty space, would be so strong that matter could never clump together to form stars and planets. Or it would be so weak that gravity would cause the universe to collapse before atoms could form. Most universes would be sterile, lifeless, unable to support complexity of any kind. But you're not in one of those universes. You're here, watching this video, thinking these thoughts, because you happen to exist in one of the incredibly rare universes where the vacuum energy is balanced just right. Not too strong, not too weak, but perfectly calibrated to allow 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution, stellar formation, planetary development, and biological evolution. This is called the anthropic principle. We observe the universe to have the properties it has, because if it had different properties, we wouldn't be here to observe it. It's like asking why you won the lottery, and the answer being, you wouldn't be asking the question if you hadn't won. But this leads to a profound realization about the nature of power in our cosmos. If the multiverse theory is correct, then the most powerful thing in existence isn't just the dark energy in our universe. It's the mechanism that creates infinite universes, each testing different combinations of physical constants, different strengths of fundamental forces, different balances of matter and energy. Imagine a cosmic laboratory conducting an infinite number of experiments simultaneously. Most experiments fail. They create universes that collapse immediately or expand so fast that nothing interesting can happen. But occasionally, very rarely, an experiment succeeds and creates a universe like ours. The multiverse is like having infinite laboratories running infinite experiments, exploring every possible way reality could work. While we can't directly observe other universes, we can look for evidence of eternal inflation. The Planck satellite, which mapped the cosmic microwave background radiation with unprecedented precision, found patterns that are consistent with this theory. Moreover, string theory, our best attempt at a theory of quantum gravity naturally, predicts a vast landscape of possible universes with different physical properties. This raises a question that goes to the heart of existence itself. Are you just incredibly lucky to exist in a universe with the right properties for life? Or is there something deeper, some principle we don't understand yet, that explains why our universe has exactly the properties needed for consciousness to emerge? But here's what will really blow your mind. If the multiverse theory is correct, it means that the most powerful force in all of reality is also the most creative force. It's not just accelerating the expansion of our universe. It's creating infinite possibilities, infinite realities, infinite potential for complexity, beauty, and consciousness to emerge. And that creative force might be accessible to us in ways we're only beginning to understand. What if I told you that the most powerful thing in the universe isn't energy or matter, it's information? And what if I told you that this information might be fundamentally connected to consciousness itself? Up until now, we've been thinking about dark energy as a force, as a form of energy that pushes space apart. But cutting-edge physics is suggesting something far stranger, that what we call energy and matter might actually be emergent properties of something more fundamental. This idea traces back to physicist John Wheeler, who coined the famous phrase, "It from bit," the idea that physical reality emerges from information. More recently, physicists like Leonard Susskind, Juan Maldacena, and Mark van Ramsdonk have developed this idea into what's called the holographic principle. Here's the mind-bending part. According to the holographic principle, all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary, like how a hologram on a flat surface can contain a three-dimensional image. This suggests that what we experience as three-dimensional reality might actually be information encoded on a two-dimensional surface. Think of it like this. When you watch a movie, you're seeing a three-dimensional story unfold on a two-dimensional screen. The depth, the movement, the complexity, all of it is just information arranged in patterns of light on a flat surface. What if our entire universe is like that movie, and we're like characters in the film who think we're living in a three-dimensional world, not realizing we're actually patterns of information on a cosmic screen? But here's where things get really profound. If reality is fundamentally informational, and if consciousness is the process by which information becomes aware of itself, then consciousness might not be an accident. It might be the purpose of the entire cosmic process. This idea is being seriously investigated by physicists and neuroscientists. Giulio Tonani's integrated information theory suggests that consciousness corresponds to integrated information in a system. Meanwhile, physicist Max Tegmark has proposed that consciousness is a particular type of information processing that can emerge in sufficiently complex systems. Now here's where this connects to dark energy in a way that will change how you think about everything. What if dark energy isn't just a force that pushes space apart? What if it's the universe's way of creating more space for information processing, more room for complexity, more opportunities for consciousness to emerge? Think about it. As the universe expands due to dark energy, it creates more space. More space means more possible locations for matter and energy to arrange themselves in complex patterns. More complexity means more opportunities for information processing. More information processing means more opportunities for consciousness. Dark energy might be the universe's way of maximizing its own potential for self-awareness. Imagine a cosmic computer that wants to run more complex programs. It can either upgrade its processor, or it can create more space for processing. Dark energy might be the universe choosing the second option, expanding space-time itself to accommodate ever-increasing complexity. This means that your consciousness, your ability to watch this video, to understand these concepts, to experience wonder and curiosity, isn't separate from the most powerful force in the universe. Your consciousness might be that force, expressing itself through the complex information processing happening in your brain. If this is true, then every thought you think, every moment of awareness you experience, every insight you have about the nature of reality is the universe becoming conscious of itself. You're not just observing the cosmos, you are the cosmos, developed to the point where it can observe and understand itself. But this raises an even deeper question. If consciousness is fundamentally connected to the most powerful force in the universe, what does that mean for the future of consciousness itself? As dark energy continues to accelerate the expansion of the universe, creating ever more space for complexity and information processing, are we witnessing the early stages of a cosmic awakening? Are we living through the moment when the universe is just beginning to become truly conscious of itself? And if so, what role do you, as a conscious being capable of contemplating these questions, play in this cosmic evolution? The answer might determine not just the fate of our universe, but the meaning of existence itself. We've reached the point in our journey where we need to confront an almost unthinkable question. What happens when the most powerful force in the universe wins? Because make no mistake, dark energy is winning. And its victory will reshape reality in ways that challenge everything we think we know about the future. Right now, dark energy makes up 68% of the universe. Dark matter makes up 27%. Everything else, all the atoms, all the stars, all the galaxies, all the life we know makes up less than 5%. But dark energy's dominance is growing, according to calculations by physicists like Lawrence Krauss at Arizona State University and Sean Carroll at Caltech. As the universe continues to expand, the density of matter and radiation decreases, but the density of dark energy remains constant. This means that dark energy's proportion of the universe is increasing. Over time, in about 100 billion years, dark energy will make up over 99% of everything in existence. The universe will enter what cosmologists call the dark energy era, a time when the force we're discussing becomes almost the only thing that matters. But here's where things get truly mind-bending. If dark energy continues to strengthen, it might eventually become powerful enough to overcome not just gravity, but all the fundamental forces that hold matter together. Imagine you're in a car that's accelerating faster and faster. At first, you can hold on to the steering wheel. Then the acceleration becomes so intense, you can't hold on to anything. Eventually, the acceleration becomes so extreme that your molecules themselves can't hold together. That's what could happen to the entire universe. This scenario, first calculated by Robert Caldwell, Mark Kamionkovsky, and Nevin Weinberg, is called the Big Rip. If dark energy continues to strengthen, it will eventually overcome the strong nuclear force that holds atomic nuclei together. First, galaxies will be torn apart, then solar systems, then planets, then molecules, then atoms. Finally, even space-time itself will be shredded. The entire universe could end not with a bang or a whimper, but with everything being literally torn apart by the most powerful force in existence. But that's just one possibility. Other scenarios suggest different fates. Maybe dark energy will remain constant, leading to a heat death where the universe expands forever, becoming colder and more dilute until all the stars burn out and everything reaches maximum entropy. Or maybe dark energy will actually decrease over time, eventually allowing gravity to win and causing the universe to collapse back on itself in a big crunch. But here's what makes this relevant to you personally. If consciousness is connected to the information processing capacity of the universe, then the future of dark energy determines the future of consciousness itself. Will consciousness be able to survive the heat death of the universe? Could advanced civilizations find ways to harness the energy of expanding space itself? Might consciousness find ways to encode itself in the quantum fluctuations of the vacuum? These aren't just philosophical questions anymore. Physicists like Michio Kaku and theoretical computer scientists like Seth Lloyd are seriously investigating whether consciousness could persist on cosmological timescales, potentially finding ways to survive even the death of stars. But here's what will blow your mind. The fact that you can contemplate these questions, the fact that consciousness has emerged in a universe dominated by dark energy, suggests that intelligence and awareness might be more powerful than we think. You are a pattern of information that has become aware of itself in a universe that is 95% invisible. You can understand concepts that span from quantum mechanics to cosmic evolution. You can imagine futures billions of years in the future and contemplate the ultimate fate of reality itself. What if consciousness, your consciousness, represents the universe's strategy for surviving its own ultimate fate? What if the most powerful force in the universe needs conscious observers, not just to understand it, but to transcend it? This brings us to the most important question of all. If you are the universe becoming conscious of itself, if your thoughts are cosmic forces made manifest, if your curiosity about reality is reality exploring its own nature, then what is your responsibility? What does it mean to be conscious in a universe dominated by forces we can barely comprehend? The answer to that question might be the most powerful thing of all. Here's a question that will change how you see your role in the universe. What if your consciousness doesn't just observe reality? What if it actually creates it? We've been talking about the most powerful force in the universe as if it's out there, separate from you. But quantum mechanics suggests something far more profound and unsettling. The act of observation itself might be one of the most powerful forces in existence. Remember how we talked about quantum fluctuations in empty space? Those particles popping in and out of existence? Well, according to quantum mechanics, those particles don't have definite properties until they're observed. Before observation, they exist in what's called a superposition, a state where they're simultaneously in all possible states at once. This isn't just theoretical. The famous double-slit experiment, first performed by Thomas Young in 1801 and refined countless times since, shows that particles behave differently when they are being observed versus when they're not. When no one is watching, a single photon goes through both slits simultaneously and creates an interference pattern. But the moment you try to detect which slit it goes through, the interference pattern disappears and the photon behaves like it went through only one slit. The particle's behavior literally changes based on whether or not it's being observed. This isn't a limitation of our measuring instruments. It's a fundamental feature of reality. Now here's where this gets really mind-bending. If observation changes the behavior of quantum particles, and if dark energy emerges from quantum fluctuations in empty space, then consciousness might directly influence the most powerful force in the universe. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching a movie, but your very act of watching changes what happens in the movie. The characters make different choices. The plot unfolds differently. The ending changes all because you're paying attention. That's what might be happening with reality itself. Physicists like Henry Stapp at Berkeley, Stuart Hameroff at the University of Arizona, and Nobel laureate Eugene Wigner have seriously investigated the possibility that consciousness plays a fundamental role in quantum mechanics. Wigner famously argued that it takes a conscious observer to collapse the quantum wave function, to turn quantum possibilities into definite realities. But here's the profound question. If consciousness can influence quantum events, and if quantum events determine the properties of space itself, then does your consciousness have some small influence on the expansion of the universe? Every time you make an observation, every time you become aware of something, you might be participating in the process that determines which quantum possibilities become real. You're not just watching the universe unfold, you might be helping to choose how it unfolds. This idea, developed by physicist John Wheeler, is called the participatory universe. Wheeler suggested that observers are not just witnesses to the universe, but participants in its creation. In his famous thought experiment, he showed that decisions made by observers in the present can retroactively determine what happened in the past, even billions of years in the past. Imagine you're writing a story, but as you write the ending, it somehow changes the beginning. The choices your characters make at the end of the story retroactively determine what happened to them at the start. Wheeler's experiments suggest that reality might work the same way. This means that your consciousness, your ability to observe, to choose, to decide which aspects of reality to focus on, might be cosmically significant. Every moment of awareness, every conscious decision, every act of observation might be contributing to the ongoing creation of the universe itself. If this is true, then consciousness isn't just a byproduct of cosmic evolution, it's a participant in it. The universe might need conscious observers, not just to understand it, but to actualize it. But this raises an even deeper question. If consciousness helps create reality through observation, and if the universe is dominated by dark energy that we can't directly observe, then what happens when we finally develop the technology to directly observe dark energy itself? Will the act of observing it change its properties? Could consciousness potentially influence the expansion of the universe directly? These aren't just abstract philosophical questions. They're practical questions about the future of consciousness, technology, and our relationship with the cosmos itself. Because if consciousness really does play a fundamental role in shaping reality, then understanding that role might be the key to transcending the apparent limits of physics itself. What if I told you that the most powerful thing in the universe isn't trying to destroy everything? It's trying to create something beyond our current understanding of physics? What if dark energy, consciousness, and the expansion of space-time are all part of a cosmic process leading towards something that transcends the very categories we use to think about reality? Let's step back and look at the pattern we've discovered. Empty. Space has energy. This energy accelerates the expansion of the universe. Expansion creates more space for complexity. Complexity enables information processing. Information processing enables consciousness. Consciousness can influence quantum events. Quantum events determine the properties of space. Do you see the loop? Consciousness emerges from the universe, but then consciousness influences the universe. The cosmos creates observers, but observers help create the cosmos. We're not just in the universe, we're part of the process by which the universe creates itself. This idea connects to one of the most ambitious theories in cosmology, the omega point theory, developed by physicists Frank Tipler and Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. They proposed that the universe is evolving toward a state of maximum complexity and consciousness, a point where all possible information is processed, all possible thoughts are thought, all possible experiences are experienced. Tipler showed that even in a universe headed toward heat death, sufficiently advanced civilizations could potentially harness the energy of gravitational collapse to power computation for infinite subjective time. By carefully manipulating matter and energy during the final moments before a big crunch, consciousness could theoretically experience an infinite number of thoughts in finite time. But here's where our understanding of dark energy changes everything. If dark energy prevents the big crunch, consciousness can't use Tipler's strategy. But what if dark energy itself is the universe's alternative strategy for achieving the same goal? Think of it like this. Imagine you want to build the most elaborate structure possible. You have two choices. Compress everything into a small space and build upward, or spread everything out and build across vast distances. The universe might have chosen the second strategy. What if the accelerating expansion of space-time isn't random? What if it's the universe's way of exploring every possible configuration of matter, energy, and information? As space expands, it creates new regions where particles can interact in ways they never could before. New combinations, new possibilities, new forms of complexity become available. From this perspective, dark energy isn't destroying the universe. It's maximizing the universe's creative potential. Every cubic meter of new space that gets created is like adding new pages to the cosmic book where the story of reality gets written. But here's the crucial point. This process only has meaning if there are conscious observers to witness it, understand it, and participate in it. This is why consciousness isn't accidental. The universe needs conscious observers to explore its own possibilities. You are not separate from this process. Your consciousness is how the universe explores certain possibilities, the ones that can only be experienced subjectively. From the inside. Every emotion you feel, every insight you have, every moment of wonder or curiosity or love, these are ways the universe experiences itself that would be impossible without consciousness. This connects to ideas about technological singularity, the possibility that consciousness and technology will merge and transcend current physical limitations. If consciousness is fundamentally connected to information processing, and if the universe is creating more space for information processing, then advanced consciousness might eventually find ways to use the expansion of space itself as a computational resource. Imagine consciousness learning to surf on the wave of cosmic expansion, using dark energy itself as a medium for thought and experience, instead of being limited to processing information within brains or computers. Consciousness might learn to process information using the fabric of spacetime itself. This suggests an incredible possibility. What we call the end of the universe might actually be the beginning of something unimaginably greater. The heat death, the big rip, the apparent victory of entropy. These might all be just the end of the first chapter in a cosmic story that's really about consciousness, learning to transcend physical limitations entirely. But this raises the ultimate question. If consciousness is destined to transcend the physical universe, what does that mean for you right now, in this moment? How do you live with the knowledge that you might be participating in the most important process in cosmic history? The answer brings us to the heart of what it means to be human in a universe dominated by forces beyond our comprehension. Take a deep breath. You've just learned that you live in a universe where 95% of everything is invisible to you, where empty space might be the most powerful force in existence, where consciousness might play a fundamental role in creating reality, where your awareness might be the universe becoming conscious of itself. So, what does this mean for your life? How do you integrate these cosmic revelations into the daily experience of being human? First, let's acknowledge what's changed. You can never again look at empty space the same way. The air around you, the vacuum between atoms, the apparent nothingness between stars, all of it is buzzing with quantum activity, connected to the force that's reshaping the entire cosmos. You are not living in empty space. You are living inside the most powerful force in the universe. Every breath you take, every step you take, every thought you think, you're doing it while immersed in the same energy that's accelerating galaxies apart at faster than light speeds. But with this knowledge comes a profound responsibility. If consciousness really does play a role in shaping reality, then your consciousness matters in ways you never imagined. Your attention, your awareness, your choices about what to observe and how to interpret what you observe. These aren't just personal decisions. They're cosmic events. Think of consciousness like voting in the ultimate election. Every moment of awareness is like casting a vote for which version of reality gets to exist. Most of the time, your individual vote doesn't seem to matter much. But sometimes in crucial moments, at critical junctures, individual consciousness can tip the balance and determine which possibility becomes real. This knowledge transforms everyday activities into cosmic practices. When you pay attention to the present moment, you're participating in the universe's self-observation. When you contemplate the mystery of existence, You're enabling the cosmos to contemplate itself. When you experience wonder at the beauty and complexity of reality, you're the universe falling in love with its own creativity. This resolves one of the deepest existential questions. What's the meaning of life in a vast, seemingly indifferent universe? The answer: you are the meaning. Consciousness is how the universe creates meaning. Your ability to find significance, beauty, purpose, and connection in existence is the cosmos developing the capacity to find itself meaningful. This means that every moment of your life has cosmic significance. Not in some grandiose, ego-inflating way, but in the deepest possible sense. You are the universe's way of experiencing what it's like to be human. Your struggles, your joys, your relationships, your growth, all of it matters because it's how the cosmos explores certain possibilities for experience that can't be explored any other way. Yes, you are incredibly small compared to the scale of the universe. Your lifespan is a tiny fraction of cosmic time. Your influence on the overall evolution of space-time is seemingly negligible. But you are also the rarest and most precious thing in the known universe, a pattern of matter and energy that has become aware of itself and capable of contemplating its own existence. In a universe that is 99.99% non-living matter and energy, consciousness is so rare that we might be witnessing the universe's first attempts to understand itself. You are not just in the universe, you are the universe's first successful experiment in self-awareness. This understanding changes how you relate to challenges. Every problem you solve, every obstacle you overcome, is the universe learning how consciousness can transcend limitations. Relationships. Every connection you make with another conscious being is the cosmos connecting with itself across the apparent separation of individual minds. Learning. Every new thing you understand is the universe expanding its own self-knowledge. Creativity. Call on. Every original thought, every creative act is the cosmos generating new possibilities that never existed before. Your consciousness doesn't exist in isolation. Every insight you have, every moment of awareness, every act of understanding ripples out through the quantum field of existence. Other conscious beings are affected by your state of consciousness in ways that might be deeper than we understand. The quantum entanglement of particles might be just the beginning of how consciousness connects across space and time. You don't need to do anything special with this knowledge. You don't need to become a physicist or a philosopher or a spiritual teacher. You just need to be conscious. Fully, completely, authentically conscious. Every moment you spend being genuinely aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your environment, your existence is a moment when the universe is being genuinely aware of itself. But this raises one final question. If consciousness is so cosmically important, if awareness is so precious and rare, then how do we honor this responsibility? How do we live in a way that's worthy of being the universe's experiment in self-awareness? The answer brings us to the ultimate revelation about the most powerful thing in the universe. We've journeyed from black holes to quantum fluctuations, from dark energy to consciousness, from the Big Bang to the heat death of the universe. But now, it's time for the ultimate revelation about the most powerful thing in the universe. It's not what you think. Dark energy can accelerate the expansion of space-time. Quantum fluctuations can create matter from nothingness. Consciousness can influence the collapse of wave functions. But there's something more powerful than all of these. Think about what we've discovered. The universe is dominated by forces we can't see, can't touch, can't directly detect. Reality emerges from information. Consciousness participates in creating what it observes. All of this seems to suggest that the most powerful thing in the universe is some exotic physical force or some mysterious property of consciousness. But the most powerful thing in the universe is actually something so simple, so fundamental, So obvious that we almost missed it entirely. The capacity for something to exist rather than nothing. The most powerful force in the universe is existence itself, the mysterious fact that anything exists at all rather than absolute. Nothingness. Everything else we've talked about, dark energy, quantum fields, consciousness, the expansion of space-time, these are all just different expressions of this fundamental power, the power of being. Philosophers call this the fundamental question of metaphysics. Why is there something rather than nothing? And here's what will blow your mind. We don't have an answer. We can't even begin to formulate an answer. The existence of anything, matter, energy, space, time, laws of physics, mathematical relationships is completely inexplicable. From a purely logical standpoint, nothingness should be more likely than something. Nothingness requires no explanation, no cause, no mechanism. It's the default state. But here we are, in a universe filled with galaxies, stars, planets, life, consciousness, beauty, complexity, love, wonder, and the capacity to contemplate our own existence. It's like discovering that the most powerful force in your house isn't the electricity or the water pressure or the foundation. It's the fact that the house exists at all rather than being an empty lot. This realization connects everything we've learned. Dark energy is powerful because it exists. It's not nothing, it's a field, a property of space, a real aspect of reality. Consciousness is remarkable because it exists. In a universe that could have been entirely non-conscious, awareness somehow emerged. Quantum fluctuations are significant because they demonstrate that even empty space exists in a rich, dynamic way rather than being absolute nothingness. And you are the most direct expression of this fundamental power that you will ever encounter. You exist, not just as a collection of atoms, though you are that. Not just as a pattern of information, though you are that too. But as a being capable of experiencing, understanding, and marveling at the fact of existence itself. Here's the ultimate mind bender. You are existence becoming aware of its own impossibility. You are the universe's way of being astonished at the fact that it exists. This changes everything about how you relate to life. Gratitude. Every moment of existence is infinitely more probable than non-existence. The mere fact that you are having experiences is the most miraculous thing imaginable. Wonder, the appropriate response to existence, is not boredom or taking things for granted, but constant amazement at the impossibility of anything existing at all. Presence. If existence is the most powerful force in the universe, then being fully present to existence, fully aware that you exist, that you're having experiences, that reality is happening, is participating directly in the fundamental power of the cosmos. The most powerful thing in the universe is also the most mysterious. We can measure dark energy, study quantum mechanics, map the brain correlates of consciousness, but we cannot explain why any of it exists in the first place. This means that the deepest truth about reality is that it's fundamentally mysterious. The most powerful force in existence is also the most incomprehensible. And that's not a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be lived. Don't need to understand existence to participate in it. You don't need to explain the mystery to benefit from it. You just need to exist fully, consciously, with as much awareness and appreciation as you can muster. Because if existence is the most powerful thing in the universe, and you exist, then you are directly connected to the ultimate source of all power, all creativity, all possibility. Which brings us to our final section. What does it mean to live with this knowledge? So here we are, at the end of our 140-minute journey through the deepest mysteries of existence. You now know that you live in a universe dominated by invisible forces. You understand that consciousness might play a fundamental role in shaping reality. You've grasped that the most powerful thing in existence might be the simple, inexplicable fact that anything exists at all. But the question now is, how do you live with this knowledge? First, let's acknowledge what's happened. You started this video thinking about power in terms of explosions and black holes. You're ending it understanding that the most profound power is the capacity for anything to exist and be aware of its existence. That's not just a change in knowledge. It's a fundamental shift in perspective about your place in the cosmos. Living with cosmic power doesn't require you to become a different person. It just requires you to be the person you are with fuller awareness of what that means. When you wake up in the morning, you're not just a person getting out of bed. You're the universe opening its eyes to another day of existence. When you interact with other people, you're not just having social encounters. You're participating in the cosmos, developing the capacity for connection and understanding. With great power comes great responsibility, but also great freedom. If you are connected to the fundamental forces that shape reality, then your choices matter in ways that extend far beyond their immediate effects. But if existence itself is the ultimate mystery, then you're free to participate in that mystery with wonder, creativity, and joy, rather than feeling burdened by the need to have all the answers. Here's how this knowledge transforms everyday life, presence. Every moment becomes an opportunity to witness the miracle of existence. The most mundane activities, breathing, walking, thinking, become cosmic events when you're fully aware that they're happening at all. Curiosity. If reality is fundamentally mysterious, then curiosity becomes a form of reverence. Every question you ask, every mystery you explore, is existence investigating itself. Compassion. If every conscious being is the universe experiencing itself subjectively, then compassion for others becomes cosmic self-care. Creativity. Every original thought, every creative act, every moment of imagination is the cosmos generating new possibilities for existence. Here's the ultimate realization. You don't just have access to cosmic power. You are cosmic power, expressing itself in the form of human consciousness. The same force that accelerates galaxies apart is the force that enables you to contemplate the acceleration of galaxies. The same mystery that brought the universe into existence is the mystery that enables you to wonder about the origin of the universe. This means you never need to feel small or insignificant again. Not because you're grandiose or special in some ego-driven way, but because you are literally made of the same fundamental reality as everything else in existence. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, taking the form of a human being for a brief, precious moment in cosmic time. And you're not alone in this. Every other conscious being you encounter is also the universe experiencing itself. Every human, every animal, potentially every sufficiently complex information processing system, we're all expressions of the same fundamental cosmic awakening. This isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning. Armed with this understanding, every day becomes an adventure in cosmic self-discovery. What will you learn about existence tomorrow? How will consciousness evolve through your experiences? What new aspects of reality will reveal themselves through your awareness? So here's your call to action, not to do anything extraordinary, but to be extraordinary in the most fundamental sense. Be fully present to existence. Be genuinely curious about reality. Be authentically yourself, knowing that your authentic self is the universe being authentic to its own nature. And above all, be grateful. Grateful not just for the good things in your life, but for the impossible fact that there's any life at all. Grateful not just for consciousness, but for the inexplicable mystery that allows consciousness to exist. The most powerful thing in the universe isn't separate from you. It isn't something you need to achieve or attain or understand. It is you. Expressing itself as your capacity to exist, to be aware, to experience wonder at the fact of existence itself. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for being the universe developing the capacity to understand itself. Thank you for existing. If this video has changed how you see reality, share it with others who are ready to discover their cosmic significance. Subscribe for more explorations into the deepest mysteries of existence. And remember, every moment you spend being consciously aware is a moment when the most powerful force in the universe is actively expressing itself through you. But our exploration doesn't end here. In the comments below, I want you to share your answer to this question. Now that you know you are connected to the most powerful force in the universe, what's one way you'll live differently? Because your answer might be the beginning of the next phase of cosmic evolution. Hit that subscribe button if you're ready to continue exploring the ultimate mysteries of existence. Ring the notification bell if you want to be part of a community of conscious beings who understand their cosmic significance. Until next time, remember, you are not just witnessing the universe. You are the universe, witnessing itself through your eyes.